For Eric J on Sports, I'm Eric J, and this is what I think. Kansas City Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes, who has taken his team to 6 straight AFC Conference Championship games and will be appearing in his 4th Super Bowl looking to win his 3rd, will be doing battle with Brock Purdy of the San Francisco 49ers for the most recent Super Bowl championship. Now, there's a chance that by the time you hear this, the Super Bowl will already have occurred and you'll already know who won. But the point of this is that Patrick Mahomes was a first-round draft pick. Patrick Mahomes has led his team to 6 straight AFC championships. Patrick Mahomes is in his 4th Super Bowl and be looking to win, or will have already won, his 3rd. Brock Purdy was the last pick of the draft in the year he came out. Brock Purdy was supposed to be just a reasonable backup player behind Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo. Brock Purdy emerged as the starter, outplaying those guys, allowing the Niners to release Garoppolo so he can be signed by the Raiders, and moving Trey Lance to Dallas and bringing in first-round pick Sam Darnold to be his backup. Brock Purdy, the last player drafted, Mr. Irrelevant as they like to call it, took his team to the playoffs in his first full season as a starter, and took his team to the Super Bowl and finished in 4th place in the MVP voting in his 2nd full season as a starter. Now, why are we talking about this? We're talking about this because people who have a microphone believe that Patrick Mahomes is one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game, on a par or almost in the league with Joe Montana and Terry Bradshaw and Tom Brady and that ilk. And that may be true, but people are looking at Brock Purdy saying that Brock Purdy is a passable, serviceable, workable quarterback who, if it were not for Kyle Shanahan, his coach, Deebo Samuel, his top wide receiver, Christian McCaffrey, his all-purpose running back, George Kittle, his all-world tight end, and the defense that they have, that Brock Purdy would be just another quarterback. Now, these are the same people on the microphones who thought that Jimmy Garoppolo was a great quarterback who was lucky to get out from under Bill Belichick and Tom Brady, and he was able to prove himself in San Francisco by taking the team to the playoffs. But Jimmy Garoppolo turned out to not be as great as people thought he was. He went to a Raider team that had Hunter Renfrow and Devontae Adams and Josh Jacobs and Josh McDaniels, his former offensive coordinator with the Patriots, as his head coach, and did nothing. But Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, last pick of the draft, became an MVP candidate. And people are saying that Patrick Mahomes makes his players better, while the players in San Francisco make Brock Purdy better. And the question I ask is, why can't we admit that Brock Purdy might just be a very good to great quarterback? Is it because he was the last pick in the draft or drafted so late? I don't know, because Dak Prescott was drafted in the 4th round, and Kirk Cousins was drafted in the 4th round, and Tom Brady was drafted in the 6th round, and we accepted that they were drafted late, but they made contributions and they took their teams to higher heights. Dak Prescott has never been to a Super Bowl. Kirk Cousins has never been to a Super Bowl. Brock Purdy is in the Super Bowl right now. Right now. Tom Brady, in his 2nd or 3rd season, I'm not sure which, took a team to the Super Bowl. In his 2nd full season as a starter, 3rd full season as a starter, took a team to the Super Bowl and won it. And we said Tom Brady is a great quarterback. But Tom Brady was drafted in the 6th round. But Tom Brady was a great quarterback. He had weapons. He had a great coach. Brock Purdy was drafted in the 7th round. It doesn't matter that he was the last pick. He was drafted 1 round later than Brady. He has great players. He has a great coach. He's taking his team to a Super Bowl, and by the time you've heard this, if you hear this after the Super Bowl, there's a chance that he may have won the Super Bowl and actually be Super Bowl MVP. But he'll still be, as I've heard one commentator state, a B, B+, B- quarterback. That is lucky to have the weapons that he has on his team. And it just boggles the mind that we cannot look at Brock Purdy and say, Brock Purdy is a great quarterback. Brock Purdy is a quarterback who is doing things for his team. It gets into the conversation of Patrick Mahomes is a game changer. Patrick Mahomes is a playmaker, but Brock Purdy is a game manager. And for some, the phrase game manager comes off as a negative connotation. If you're a game manager, your responsibility is to keep the team from losing, but you're not necessarily helping the team win. In 2003, when the Tampa Bay Buccaneers went to the Super Bowl and defeated the Raiders, and John Gruden, former coach of the Raiders, became coach of the Buccaneers and beat the Raiders handily in the Super Bowl, their quarterback was labeled a game manager. John Gruden won that game with his running game and with his defense, and his quarterback just didn't do anything to allow the team to lose the game. So he was a game manager, according to the literal definition of the euphemism. But I look at it this way. When you're playing quarterback, whether it's Pop Warner High School, college, the USFL, the European League, Canadian League, or in the NFL, when you're playing quarterback, you go up to the line of scrimmage, you survey the situation. Maybe you call a timeout because you don't have the right personnel in. Maybe you call a timeout because you don't have the right play. Maybe you call a timeout because you don't like what you see on the defense. You go talk to your coach. You come back out. You call a play. You still don't like what you see, so you call an audible. You put everybody in place. You restructure everything. You call a play. And either you hand off to the running back after the ball is snapped, or you drop back to pass. And when you drop back to pass, you survey the field. You look at where all your pass catchers are, and you go, 1 might be covered, I can't throw there. 2 might be covered, I can't throw there. 3 might be covered, I can't throw there. 4 might be covered, I can't throw there. Let me look back at 1. 1 is now open, I can throw there. And you throw the ball to the player, and the player catches the ball and makes a play. Now, if you've done all these things and it works out to your favor or to your benefit, you have just managed the situation. Even if you look at all of your receivers and all of your pass catchers are covered and you decide to tuck the ball under your arm and you run, you have managed the situation to a positive outcome. Now, if you do all of these things and you drop back to pass, 1 is covered, 2 is covered, 3 is double covered, 4 is covered, and you still try to throw the ball to one of those receivers and you throw an interception, then you have badly managed the situation, which means you're not an effective game manager. But if you've done it and your receiver has caught the ball and gotten you some yards, or you've tucked the ball under your arm and you've run and you've gotten some yards, you effectively managed the situation to a positive outcome. So you're a game manager. Every time Lamar Jackson completes a pass or doesn't complete a pass, but it's not intercepted or runs for positive yards, he effectively managed the situation. While making a play, he effectively managed the situation. And every time Jameis Winston drops back to pass and he sees a situation and he throws an interception, or Derek Carr attempts to run the ball and he fumbles or gets sacked, he did not effectively manage the situation. So every quarterback is asked to be a game manager. Some are better at it than others. And what we see is the ESPNizing of quarterback, and that makes us see quarterbacks as game managers are the lower level ones, playmakers, game changers are the higher level ones. But it's just like in the NBA during the Michael Jordan era. If you could dunk or hit a three-pointer, you were great. But the guy that made a steal and made an assist for somebody to hit a layup, or the guy that shot a 20-foot, 15-foot jump shot, or went to the free throw line and made 2 free throws to win the game for his team, is not that great a player. He's not dynamic because he didn't dunk. He's not dynamic because he didn't make a no-look pass. He's not dynamic because he didn't hit a 40-foot three-point shot. And it's the same in football with quarterback. If you're making sidearm passes like Patrick Mahomes, or you're running through the defense like Cam Newton and running over linebackers and safeties, or you're throwing the ball 80 yards flat-footed to a receiver who's outrun his coverage, or you're throwing the ball into double or triple coverage, but your receiver catches the ball, then you're not a game manager. You're a playmaker. You're a game changer. Well, no, you've made a play, but you may also be a poor game manager. Because if Brock Purdy comes to the line of scrimmage and Brock Purdy drops back 35 times in a game and he completes 27 passes and the other 7 hit the ground and he has no interceptions, or 6 of the 7 hit the ground and he has 1 interception, but he throws for 320 yards on his 28 completions, and his team won the game, and he's thrown for 3 touchdowns. He's effectively managed the game, even if his longest pass was only 15 yards, and his running stats show him at -1 or at 3 yards positive. He's effectively managed the game because he didn't do anything to cause his team to lose. And if one of his 3 passes was a 40-yard bomb to Deebo Samuel, or one of his passes was a throw to George Kittle when there was single coverage, but there was a single high safety, and the safety got there just as Kittle caught the ball, but Kittle caught the ball anyway, he made a play. He changed the game. but he still effectively managed the situation. But if Patrick Mahomes goes out and he gets sacked twice behind the line of scrimmage, or he gets tackled for loss trying to run, and a couple of his sidearm passes get intercepted by linebackers who were blitzing at the time, but he's able to throw a 40-yard pass to Travis Kelce, and he's able to throw a 60-yard bomb to one of his receivers, and they still win the game, then he made plays, but he wasn't an effective game manager. So calling a quarterback a game manager seems like a negative connotation, but in professional football, or in football in general, quarterbacks are asked to manage the game, and if you can do something dynamic, do it. But if you effectively manage the game and your team wins, that's all we're asking you to do. Because football is the ultimate team sport. There's 11 guys on the field, and they all have to do their jobs effectively in order for the team to win the game. So looking at Brock Purdy saying that he's not a great quarterback because he was drafted late and he's just a game manager, that sounds to me like a compliment, because he goes out and does what he needs to do to get his team to win, and he's not making mistakes and doing things to make his team lose. But because people see it as a negative, they think that Brock Purdy is significantly less than, from what I've heard recently, no greater than the 16th or 17th best quarterback in a 32-team league. And I look at it this way: that may be so, but those other 15 quarterbacks ahead of him, not including Patrick Mahomes, aren't in the Super Bowl, don't have a chance to win the Super Bowl, and don't have a chance to be Super Bowl MVP. So Brock Purdy may be the 17th best quarterback in the league. He may just be a game manager, but he's done something better than those other guys because he's in the game and they're not. Remember to like and share this video, and subscribe to this channel, and visit the Eric J on Sports website, and follow me on Facebook at Eric J on Sports 1, and on Instagram and Twitter at Eric J on Sports. And for Eric J on Sports, I'm Eric J, and this is what I think.